like Cathy says, my name's Lynne Hall. I work as a strategic account manager for E.ON. Been there now since December last year, so still in my first year, having previously worked in the water industry. So used to utilities, used to saving on consumption, just a different type of utility, and a lot more savings to be made in energy, so I found it really exciting so far. So what I'm going to talk about today is a bit about what we think your challenges are in the current climate. I'll touch slightly on who E.ON are so that we kind of get away from any previous perceptions of what E.ON do as one of the big six or one of the big five as it's going. And then how to plan your sustainable strategy. And I'm going to touch slightly on different types of businesses so that it's not too broad brush, and I can talk a bit more specific about retail and multi-sites versus large offices and then your manufacturing. And then I'll finish with a summary and time for questions at the end. So it's not hard to discuss climate change because it's on the agenda in terms of the government. We're still getting a cut through from all the discussions on Brexit, which I won't touch on at all. But in the summer, in June, Theresa May set out that the government was going to commit to that carbon zero by 2050. And then as little as last Sunday, Boris updated that by saying what kind of budget he was putting towards it. So in amongst all the Brexit, we're still getting a cut through of how important climate change is. So that's great. And then from a business perspective, you know, it's not just about saving carbon, it's all about the bottom line. So, you know, even the carbon trusts say themselves that if you can make a 20% cut in energy costs, then that's equivalent to a 5% increase in sales. So they come hand in hand. Some of the discussions at the dinner table last night were about not having the budget to be able to look at savings, and that's where we can look at funding options. And also, if that is not the main driver as the carbon, then obviously as a business you want to be profitable. Look at it in terms of the savings, and then the two definitely come hand in hand. So I'll touch quickly on what we think the current challenges in the market is and the macro environment. In terms of competitive landscape, obviously the Thomas Cook in the last week has been an obvious version of how businesses don't quite get to grips with changing from that more online business. Market competition is growing from different places that you might have not seen it in the past, and it's driving margins lower. On top of that, in terms of energy spending, getting engineers out to site can be costly, and also it's sometimes unnecessary and can be avoided. There can be a lack of capital investment, so you've got aging building assets, driving up failure rates, and not having the capex to be able to fix these buildings. And we get that from some of our customers. We don't have the money to sort, and sometimes we're putting plasters over HVAC that probably needs a bigger project looked at, but making sure we get through one more winter before we potentially close that office. That, you know, we're used to that type of conversation. From an operational and legislative point of view, you've got continually changing legal. You know, we've got the ESOS that certain sizes of business have to adhere to. What I find fascinating come from the water market is businesses of a certain size have to do an ESOS, but on the reporting findings, you've got potential quick wins and what you should be doing, but there's no coming back and making sure that you've actually put these things in place. Whereas as a business, you could be using that to ensure your business is looking at making those savings, or at least know where to kick off and start. There's increase in staffing costs, and of course the actual cost of energy is rising. So you're up against it from that perspective. And then what is your company targets? What is their corporate CSR paper look like? How serious are they about it, rather than it's the right thing to do? And then how does that fit within your role? So, you know, we're used to having that kind of push and pull between the energy teams, facilities management, procurement and HR. Health and safety, sorry. So understanding who the other internal stakeholders are if you have to try and influence to help with your goals. A quick bit on who E.ON are. as I say, you know us as one of the largest suppliers in the UK and obviously Germany owned. In terms of our department, we are part of the solutions and community sector, and it's about personalising homes, sustainable business and smart cities. So myself and my two colleagues who are here today that you can meet on the exhibition stand, Rachel and Annalisa, we between us have quite a good robust experience with multi-sites and offices, and Annalisa more on manufacturing and really getting to grips with specific technologies to help with production and savings that way. So we work within the sustainable business section, but we also have colleagues that look after potential large smart cities, and it's getting away from being very British and looking at your own business and not worrying about what your neighbours are doing, but actually as a city you've got your domestic, residential businesses and public sector all looking at how you can work as one district and what a smart city looks like. So we've done something like that in Bristol. But it's all about being specific and bespoke to you as a customer, so that we're not coming out and giving some shiny presentation on what E.ON can do. It's listening to what your challenges are, what problems you've got, and then matching the technologies to support. So hopefully that helps. In terms of your plan, I think the first thing to say is not to be daunted by these new targets. The government saying getting to the net zero by 2050. I'm sure you aren't sitting here today having done nothing in terms of energy saving. So for us, it's learning how to take extra baby steps to the next level. What is it you need to tweak in your plan? Who else could you be speaking to? What other technologies have you not thought about? So it's really just building on what you've already started. And for us, it really is data that's the key. You know, you maybe know how much you're spending on energy, but do you know how, why, and when that you're using that data? You know, sub-metering can to look at one section of your business to understand what's going on in that area, and if there's any outliers where there's been consumption used that possibly you don't need. Understanding the landscape, so really, is there any low-hanging fruit still to be given? And I think from conversations last night and today on the exhibition stand, every business is different. So we appreciate if I feel like, you know, I'm telling Granny how to suck eggs here. I absolutely get that. You maybe have gone down that route. You know, there's papers published by ED to say some businesses have already targeted 2030 for carbon neutral versus other customers that are struggling to get the rest of the business to buy in, to spend money in this area. And times like today, listening and thinking, right, that's great, I'm going to get back and get some sort of plan and a strategy put in place, and then the day job kicks off and you've got a certain light to fix in an office. So I appreciate that, and it's a bit of putting time aside of who you need to speak to and how do you keep that plan moving going forward. And using that data as a continuous reference point so that you can track and monitor. And we do that for our customers. We look at where they're saving and continually look at cost avoidance and saving across the year. So you can say, well, I spent this and this is a return and payback. And sharing that internal and helping to show the goals on your own website and CSR reports. For multi-site businesses, probably more my sweet spot. I deal with a few large retailers in the UK, and it's all about connecting. So they have all their HVAC lighting attached to our energy management centre in Glasgow, and we look after that for them. So we look after exceptions. We change for the British summertime and the winter, so we're making sure they're not using over and above. The lights are going off in car parks at the right time of the year. We do proactive call outs, so we'll phone a store and say, you had a high baseline last night, what will you stock taken? Yep, great, we can tick that off. If not, there's something wrong here. So it's that balance with cost avoidance and actually making savings from being clever. And it's really getting away from seeing energy saving as meaning everything's darker and colder. We've got a retailer that's actually using lighting as a really attractive way of helping with their footfall and sales by putting the lights of a different colour and bright above their own branded products and dimming them around the other products so that they get more attention. And that's that sexy part where we can really make energy help with your footfall and your sales. So we can be really clever about it and setting targets and analysing the data to ensure we understand what's happening and when. Kind of typical store layout. I'm sure this kind of picture suits an engineer better than myself, but it's trying to show what kind of things we can connect. So I've talked about HVAC, I've talked about lighting, and obviously if you look for LED lighting, and then on top of that your zoning, sensors, matching it to external light, your savings can double in connecting it. We can look at all sorts of data to map it against the energy. So we can look at footfall, so who's coming into the store if it's retail, swipe cards or turnstiles where it's large offices, and even covers. So we've got a large hotel chain who've actually used our data to map how much every breakfast, every lunch and every dinner costs per person. And there shouldn't be any difference across the UK. So straight away we can see where the outliers are, what hotels aren't performing as well as they could be, and finding out and on site why, what practices are they doing different. And they've took that a step further in terms of where they put their residents in the hotel, in terms of where's the wind, what daylight is there, and making it the most energy efficient rooms. They fill up the occupancies first. So it's cleverly looking at how you can save energy against your business practices. And we can add other areas that you maybe haven't thought about for connecting to an energy management centre remotely: refrigeration, back of house, security, gates, loading bays, bakeries, ovens, your lifts, escalators, and what we've got, looking at large retailers that have flagship stores in London, we're looking at how we can avoid the doors opening when people pass, or kids pretending they're coming into store, so that it's not wasting energy on the way in. Large offices is fairly similar to multi-site in terms of looking at the bigger picture. What is the working patterns? I just had somebody say to me in the exhibition stand, you know, we're moving away from working in offices, we're trying to be more flexible, trying to be more remote. Is that not just going to affect more energy use domestically than you do in offices? Which I absolutely get, and I guess if one of my colleagues from the residential team was here, they would talk more about what we're trying to do to change that behaviour. I've also been at an event recently where Tesco talked about their staff behaviour in terms of environmental change, and if you can help educate staff within the workplace, you tend to find they start to make those behaviours happen at home. So I think I probably used to leave the tap running forever before I started working in the water industry, and now I can't listen to the noise of tap water running, knowing how much pumping that takes to fix. So there is a certain amount of education there in terms of the office. But again, what we can look at is connectivity and remote management to ensure that the lighting and HVAC is not compromising the comfort, and staff are able to work at the best of their ability without affecting how the comfort factor is while they're sitting at their desks. And again, different technologies. The next slide I quite like in terms of, do you look at your energy use in a large office holistically? Are you taking in all the areas of energy use when you're considering what can be changed? And I was out seeing a large distribution centre. We work heavily with our retail stores and their head office, but we hadn't spoke to their distribution centres before, separate decision makers. And we found out they don't operate after 3:30 on a Saturday, and their baseline's still too high. So we've been collecting their data, but we've not got in front of their audience before. So straight away there's quick wins to see what could they be switching off when the staff aren't in the building. EV charging is a high talking point at the moment, and I think we don't know where that's going yet. Me personally can't drive to see my customers from where I stay on an electric vehicle, so that's my excuse so far. But we are very keen on practicing what we preach at E.ON, so we are looking at more EV company cars, and we're finding our EV team are getting a lot more requests from the workplace, because that and your own household is the two places you're most likely to charge your car. And there is still, there's changes to the tax rules for company car drivers for 0% pure EV. So again, it's becoming quite topical. It's also nice to be able to go to the pub and talk about your cars rather than when I was in the water market talking about sewage. So I find that a lot easier to cope with. Solar panels, so you also PV if you've got a flat roof, and it's getting that balance. If your office is rented, can we be speaking to the landlord on your behalf? CHP, getting rid of old gas boilers. As I say, looking at everything holistically, how you use the building, when the staff are in, and what you can be doing to make sure that you're not overusing when you don't need to. And then finally, manufacturing, which probably is my least sweet spot. But again, I absolutely understand with manufacturing, it's all about resilience of supply, security of supply, ensuring that you're not going to be hit with any brownouts. It doesn't affect production and therefore profitability. So I absolutely appreciate that you cannot compromise on that. And I think that's where projects take longer to get up and running, is so many more stakeholders, whether manufacturing is decentralised or centralised instead in terms of decision making, and currently dealing with the pinch from the supply chain. So it's all about having less onus on the grid. Can we be looking at battery operated? Can you be generating, so it's not just about energy saving. How can you use energy to actually generate money for your business? And that's when we start looking at virtual power plants and real demand side response for your business, and helping you with the technologies that are specific. You would spend time to understand your production, how you make things, what's happening in the background, and so we can really align it to be personalised to your business without affecting that production. So just to round up, it is really looking at designing a specific integrated energy solution for your business, and being aware that there's different funding methods available. If you're looking more for E.ON to fund, and then we make the savings, we make the money back from the savings that you're producing. Return on investment is such a big deal for, I know, retailers and large offices. They don't tend to look at energy projects that return anything more than 2.5 years. And for building energy management systems, that's easy. That's what we do for our customers at the moment, and we provide evidence of delivering that for them, because it's very short term. They don't know how long they're going to be in certain sites. Whereas with your large manufacturers, if the building's been there for 100 years, potentially it's going to be there for at least another 50. What medium and long-term plans can you look? Longer return on investment, but who do you need to get the buy-in to ensure that those projects get off the ground? And again, that leads to less reliance on the grid, looking less at using during peak times. We do that remotely for our customers as well. And we can have different strategies of how aggressive you want to be in terms of turning energy down during those periods in the winter. Right on to energy generation, actually making money back for your business. And that's the thing, you tend to think about that for large buildings, but actually if you're a retailer with buildings across a portfolio across the UK, if you're not using that energy and you're aggregating it all from one energy management centre, then we can then prove to the grid that you're not using it and make the money back. So don't just think of it in terms of one large site can save you that money. So I knew I would speak too fast, being Scottish and nervous at the same time. But hopefully I've not bored you by getting to my final slide slightly earlier. So just to summarise, again, it's all about the planning. If you have made a plan, looking at it, is there anywhere in terms of your office and buildings and your estate that you haven't actually thought about? Where can we help? And for us, it's listening to your problems and then speaking to the experts in terms of how can we fix that? What can we be looking at? How much will that cost? And what type of funding model you'd be interested in? And really making it flexible, but without having any detrimental effect to comfort for staff, suppliers and customers that enter your building. Ongoing monitoring, because that's the way that you keep getting the business cases signed off. You know, we're given a budget by one of our retail customers at the start of their financial year, but we've been talking to them 6 months before. And then the hard thing is you get the quick wins first, the ones that need upgraded, the ones that have got a bit of maintenance problem. You get all that in the first year, and then the next year you want to try and find the money for projects, and you know you might not have the same issues because you fixed the worst ones. So that's where you can look at what other technologies are available to take it to that next level. And really that allows you to take the carbon legislation and savings targets. We've got a dedicated team that actually continue to look at what's coming through with legislation, and one or two of our customers say, can you keep me posted? Let me know proactively what I need to be thinking about next. And the first place that team start is looking at the company's website, and you can get a real flavour of how important carbon is just from a company's website, and what their targets look like. Are they quite woolly, or is there real specific numbers on what they saved last year and what the target is for the next 2, 3, 5 years? So we're happy to help in any way without turning it into a sales pitch. Just, you know, talk to your suppliers at the moment, work out what data you've got. As I say, we can look at the BEMS data that comes into our energy management centre, but we're happy to look at half-hourly data that you have from your current supplier in order to help you paint that picture and where you want to look. So thanks very much for your time. I hope that gave some sort of insight, regardless of what type of business you work for.